Hello, Wildcats. Welcome to week 2 of the Jan Richardson guided reading course. I hope you are enjoying your work. I really enjoyed reading your posts on the discussion forum for week 1. Lots of really good insights, so I thank you for your time in working on those. So I think we're going to have another great week. This is the week where we're going to start getting into the actual plans of guided reading. As I mentioned before, I just want you to keep in mind that if you are an upper intermediate teacher, please know that these pre-A lessons may not feel all that applicable, but there are a couple different things I'm going to point out that I hope you'll be able to pull into your work with your students. So the first thing I want to talk about is through each of these chapters, Jan Richardson has recorded herself doing different components of the lessons with students. And so I put a link to the website on week 2 of Schoology, so right below the discussion post, and I just titled it Jan Richardson Guided Reading Site. And if you click on the link, it'll take you to her site, and then there's a little password you have to type in. It prompts you of where to find the password in the book, but I'll just tell you the word is results, R-E-S-U-L-T-S. We all know how I spell, so if I spelled it wrong, it's results. Don't count on my spelling ever. And so if you type in the word results, it takes you to the page that has all of the downloadable lesson plans. So that's going to be a really useful place for you to go. They're also in the book, but you can go there and download them if you want an electronic copy. There's also more information about Jan if you're interested in reading, but this one that I want to talk to you about is the videos link. So if you click on the videos link, and it's the very first section, the pre-A videos, and it shows you just some different videos of her working through the different components of the lesson, so that might help you to ground your work. And I'm actually going to ask you to take a look at one and kind of ground, I'm going to ask you to take a look at one, and then we'll do a little reflection on it in the discussion forum this week. And the one I'm particularly interested in seeing you watch for this week is the interactive writing, because I think that can be applicable to some of our lower writers, even in 4th and 5th grade. So there is, with the lesson plan, a interactive writing component for each level. And so I think that would be a really interesting one for you to look at when you are doing this, because I think you can take pieces of that back regardless of what instructional level your readers are at. So take a look at that, and then I'll ask you to just reflect on that in the discussion posts. So this week we're focusing on the pre-A reader. So the very first portion of the book on of the chapter on page 26 just kind of describes the profile of a pre-A reader. So students who are working on those foundational skills: letter names and sounds, letter formation, phonological awareness, concepts of print, and the development of oral language. So as you go through the chapter, you'll find different components of the lesson that hit each of those areas. And I want you to think about how this can apply to the kiddos in your class, even if you are an upper elementary teacher, because there's certainly things in here that all kiddos can use. The other thing that I found interesting, I've been spending some time in 4th and 5th, as those teachers know, supporting with intervention, and I have noticed quite a few of the kids still forming their letters wrong. So I was going to draw your attention to page 43, because it offers some language around how to support kiddos in their letter formation. So like if you're teaching a kid how to do an O, I'm just picking one here, it says around like a C and then close. So it's just kind of interesting to look at that. Like for D, around a C, up and then down. So it helps them know that it's the C. For the D, those 4th and 5th graders are still mixing up B's and D's, I noticed. So that was an interesting one that I thought might be helpful, especially if we can all use the same language. That would help get everybody on board regardless of grade level to start building that capacity through the grade levels. So I really liked that idea. And so you'll start to see here on page 44 the actual lesson plan itself, and it just walks you through those different components of the lesson, and as we go through the book they start to become more and more complex, which should make sense. But here you can see how the focus of these lessons is specifically on phonemic awareness and those phonics skills. And then you can start to see kind of the basic outline. So it's going to start with some word work activities. We're going to go into reading a book. We're going to go into doing some writing with the book, including some vocabulary. And so that's this is the very beginning of how the lessons will go, and then you'll start to see them build on each other. What's really cool is this column over on the right side of the lesson plan where you can capture some notes around what the students did. And then actually if you print it out online, you can print it out back to back. And there's a little way that you can put each kiddo in a box and then take notes for each kid on the back. You'll see it'll make more sense if you actually go to print it, but that'll be a nice way too to just kind of take those formative notes on each kiddo. I think the only other thing I wanted to talk about was it starts on page 47. And what's really cool about this, it will do it in all of the chapters, but it is an area that you can go to if you are seeing a kiddo who's struggling with a particular skill or not making growth. So for example, they have one here for identifying letters. So then you can turn the page, and actually it's here on page 49. It says the focus is identifying letters, and it gives you some further suggestions for activities that you could do with that kiddo. And it really breaks it down to each component of the lesson. So if a kiddo's struggling in a particular area, go to page 47 and look at that, and then see over the next few pages some more ideas of things that you can do to support those readers. I think that's really helpful, and that does carry through the book to the more complex lessons. So I think that's really good. Do please watch the video about interactive writing. I think that one's going to be very helpful, even if you are a 4th and 5th grade teacher, because it gives you some ideas of how you can encourage writing for our struggling writers. There's some other ones there that you can also take a look at. They're all really good if you're interested. If you are one of our 1st or 2nd grade teachers who is taking the course, or if you're a specialist who services kids of all ages, I would encourage you to look at all of them. They're all really interesting, and Jan does a great job. Of course, we know, she's sitting at the table with 4 kids. What are the rest of the kids doing? That's not what we're doing here. So I already know that those are going to be thoughts in your head, but just watch what she's doing. What the rest of the kids are doing is not part of what's happening here. So I hope that you enjoy this chapter. I hope that you can take something back and practice. That'll be another one of the discussion post questions, just as a heads up for you to be thinking about that. Take a look at the formation of letters as well. That's very interesting. Okay, have a good week. Bye.